So get out your study guide. All right, I'm gonna stay at my desk. All right, girls, so we are tuned into our review. We're gonna stop instant messaging on our computer so we can make sure that we are paying attention. For the Magna Carta, what do you guys have? What do you guys have? Go ahead, Hannah. Excellent, so this is an English document that shifted Great Britain from rule of man to rule of law, which is great. What else can you tell me about it? Excellent. Go ahead, Claire.
It was created by King John.
So it wasn't created by him, it was created by Parliament, but it was signed, yes. Signed by King John. King John was forced to sign by Parliament, so Parliament forced, Parliament created it, and it was signed by King John. Excellent. Anything else that we want to know about this, girls? About the Magna Carta? It influenced the idea of limited government in England. It created this English idea. It was an example of limited government. Rule of man means that one person's in charge or one monarch is in charge and he makes the rules for everybody, but he doesn't have to listen to the rules himself. With rule of man, the laws change according to whoever's in power. This is different from rule of law because rule of law, everybody's equal under the law. Who controls the people? The law. That means that every single person, including people in government, are held equal under the law. That's rule of law. Okay, anything else you want to add to that? Okay. Petition of right. Petition of right. Jasmine?
I would believe that government should protect the individual and property rights.
Individual and property rights, awesome. So the Petition of Right argued for this belief, but the Petition of Right itself was a document, right? Go ahead.
I said it was signed by King Charles.
Document created by Parliament, signed by King Charles, very good. And it was to enforce the belief that the government should protect an individual and property rights. With the Petition of Right, basically, it kept the monarch from exercising too much power. The monarch could not pass taxes without the approval from Parliament. The monarch could not create military rule during a time of peace. It basically limited the monarch but this is an example of how English ideas inspired individual rights of the person, right? Because individual rights and limited government, these are ideas that we adopted for our government in the United States when we rebelled from Great Britain. Awesome. The English Bill of Rights. Give me something. English Bill of Rights. Go ahead, Hannah.
Free speech and protection from cruel and unusual punishment.
Excellent. So Parliament created this again, right? So Parliament created the English Bill of Rights, and it's kind of like our Bill of Rights. It grants individual rights to people. Hannah, could you repeat what you said?
Free speech and protection from cruel and unusual punishment.
Excellent. We need more stuff. We need more for this one. Go ahead, Jasmine.
Replace the monarchy with a constitutional monarchy.
Excellent. Monarchy to a constitutional monarchy. Excellent. William and Mary signed it as they were selected to be the new monarchs. And in addition to this, it ended the Glorious Revolution. This was another example of the concept of individual rights. Good. Girls, given that each of these documents, given that they all ended up trying to stop the throne from exercising too much power against the people, because that was the main problem, is that the people felt oppressed by the government, being the monarch, and the monarch was violating their rights. With this being said, what was the struggle between Parliament and the English monarch? Parliament was the lawmaking body, right? The government of nobles and people. Monarch is the king. The struggle was that the king was exercising too much power. The king was exercising too much power. That was the struggle. How did this struggle affect our ideas about government? How did the struggle between Parliament and the English monarch affect American ideas about government? Go ahead, Zoe.
So I actually didn't write anything down, so I think Parliament. So like, how do I say this? So the American ideas were influenced by, or Parliament influenced American ideas because with the articles we created a new government. So meaning that our government didn't have that much power because of what we saw in England, and we got that much power. So therefore, we did our government weak.
Excellent. Awesome. So that's exactly what I was looking for. Basically, this struggle was because the English monarch was so powerful that he was oppressing the people and violating the rights of the people. So what we did, and by we, I'm talking about, Americans at this time, these ideas influenced our government because we wanted to make sure that the central government or the national government didn't have too much power. So we took these ideas, right? This struggle affected our ideas as we made sure affected American ideas as the new government created a system where individual rights and limited government, individual rights, representative government, and limited government shaped the system. That's what I'm saying. So we have a system where individual rights, representative government, and limited government shape the entire system. We wanted to make sure that our our leaders were equal under the law, right? Things like rule of man. We didn't do rule of man. We wanted rule of law. So this way, everybody was equal under the law. That's the way that this struggle influenced our ideas. In addition to that, we had a representative government, meaning that the people in government represented what the people wanted, right? In addition to this, individual rights. We secured individual rights in our Bill of Rights as well. That was our main idea. When we were shaping our government, we wanted to make sure that these three ideas were preserved. That's how that struggle influenced us. It made us aware of the dangers of a monarch and the dangers of a too powerful government, and therefore, when we were building our government, we kept that in mind, which is why, like Zoe said, we made the articles so weak at first. Excellent. All good? Okay. How did royal, proprietary, and charter colonies differ from one another? Give me the royal ones. Explain to me what was going on with the royal colonies. Yeah. Hannah?
They were directly controlled by the king through appointed governors.
What kind of governors? Who appointed the governor, guys? Dun, 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 dun. The king. Good. And then yeah.
They're also bicameral.
Yes, the bicameral legislature. Right, they had a bicameral legislature. One was one appointed by the king? Yep. The upper house was appointed by the king, and the second was elected by the state legislatures, not the state legislatures, by the people. Good. So that's the royal colony. What about the proprietary? What about the proprietary? Take it away, Hannah.
Based on land, where it's individual groups.
Individuals or groups. Awesome. And this would be the proprietor, right? The proprietor of the colony. Cool. What else? Yeah. What else about that one? Do you have anything?
The asset makes laws, finances, land, and starts the colony.
Awesome. And also, girls, just so you know, the proprietary colonies, can someone let her in? They had a unicameral legislature that was elected by the people. Okay, and the last one, a charter colony. What do we have for this one? Go ahead, Jasmine.
I put a left-arm governor and you guys are elected.
So you're close you're close because the charter colony, right? This one had the most independence from the crown, and you're pretty much right. Independence from the crown. They elected their own legislature, like their lawmaking body, their Congress, and then this legislature actually appointed the governor, but it was completely chosen by the people because the state legislature was chosen by the people, elected by the people. And then the legislature appointed the governor, so they were the most free from the crown. Where did the word governor just go? All right, so that's that. Excellent. Oh, sorry, I'll go up a little bit. There you go. All right. I got it. For each term, write a sentence that explains its significance or meaning. Iroquois Confederation, what about it? Morgan? Okay, so the Iroquois Confederation was a union between 6 Native American tribes Great Britain actually urged the colonies to create a treaty or alliance with this union to preserve peace in the colonies. This worked out for a couple colonies, and this alliance actually lasted for 200 years. And this is an alliance between a couple colonies and the 6 Native American tribes. So this alliance lasts 200 years. This alliance lasts 200 years, and what's the significance of this? It's a first attempt, or I'm sorry, it was an early attempt at unity in the colonies. Right? Because ultimately, when we go up against Great Britain, we need to unify ourselves, right? So this is actually an early attempt at unity within the colonies. That's part of the significance of the Iroquois Confederation. And keep in mind, the colonies are trying to become friendly with the Native Americans because this is during the French and Indian War, and they want it back up during the French and Indian War to take control of the Ohio River Valley, because that's what the British were fighting for. And so basically, Britain urged them to make this so that there'd be peace and unity, and that they could serve as an alliance if they were to fight in the colonies. So a lot of the Native American tribes actually helped fight with the colonies, with Great Britain, against the French. That's why it's called the French and Indian War. Making sense? I don't have any questions.
Can you say that again?
Yes. I can gladly say that again, actually. So the Iroquois Confederation, right? The Iroquois Confederation itself is the 6 Native American tribes together as a union. Great Britain was fighting the French and Indian War. Remember, we have to pay all that debt back to the French and Indian War? They're fighting the French and Indian War on Americans who are in the colonies. It's not happening in Britain, it's happening in the colonies. They're fighting over the Ohio River Valley. So the British are fighting for the Ohio River Valley. The colonies are also helping fight this French and Indian War for the Ohio River Valley. And so Great Britain said, why don't you become friendly with the Native Americans? Why don't you become friendly with them? And then this way, they'll help us fight against the French. And then there will be peace for years and years to come afterwards, so that you guys can live in harmony on this land. And that's pretty much what it was for. Does that make more sense? Okay. Albany Plan of Union. Can anybody tell me anything about this? Go ahead, Zoe.
First draft of the Constitution.
It's not that it's wrong. It's an early inspiration for what soon would become the Constitution. But more importantly, I want to talk about the fact that it was proposed by Benjamin Franklin. It was proposed by Benjamin Franklin. What else? What else? Go ahead, Hannah.
Called for a council of representatives appointed by the colonial assemblies.
All right. You guys have anything else? Jasmine?
To control, train, and raise armies, build settlements, and equip.
One more time.
Build settlements and equip.
Awesome. So basically, Benjamin Franklin came up with this idea to kind of like what Zoe said, create like the first kind of government. He said that he wanted there to be a council of representatives that was appointed by the colonial assembly. So all of the colonies would appoint individuals to be this representative government. So like Zoe said, they kind of make this like first idea of what our government was gonna look like. And then these people in this representative government, the people that were delegates from all of the other colonies, would come together and come up with ideas to control trade, to build armies, build settlements, and equip police. Now, this was rejected. Why? Why would this be rejected? Why do you think we would reject that idea in the colonies? What's that?
Because they didn't like their government, so they're really more like.
I just can't hear you.
Oh, I said because the colonists didn't like the.
The colonies didn't like like an overall a big government. Is that what I said?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
No, this is wrong, but I was gonna say like they were a little afraid of like Great Britain.
Exactly. Keep it coming. Excellent. So yeah, basically what happened was this idea of the Council of Representatives looks a lot like a small group of people making all the decisions and being in charge of a large group of people. And it looks too much like Great Britain. It looks too much like Great Britain in the sense that it's a small group that might have too much power over the few. What's worse than a small group that dictates what everyone else does? A small group with a big army, right? Not great. They're like, we're not ready for that just yet. So the only plan of union gets rejected.
So when it's true that the small group is gonna like turn into parliament.
I'm so bad.
Were they scared like that the small group was going to turn into parliament?
They were afraid that that looked too much like a monarchy. What do you have for the Stamp Act? 15 minutes left. We have to roll. Stamp Act, what do you have?
Parliament's
First attempt to tax the colonies directly. And why was that? These are typos? We know what it means though, right? So why are they taxing the colonies? Jackie. Excellent. Tax to pay back the debt from the French and Indian War. Who fought the French and Indian War? Britain, right? The colonies, all those people are from Britain. They're putting a tax on the colonies. The colonies are mad because Parliament, the elected group that is making the decisions, nobody from the colonies serves in Parliament, which means that they are taxing the colonies, even though the colonies have no, what? Representation in government. Excellent. What's a delegate? What is a delegate? Go ahead, Hannah.
A person sent or authorized to represent the group.
Awesome. So if I were to send Hannah to the main office to turn in my absentee form or to turn in my attendance, she would be a delegate for room 21, right? She would represent everybody in this room. Now, what happens is, for the first Continental Congress, second Continental Congress, they made decisions by asking delegates to come from each colony, right? So that's the importance of a delegate, is that it is an individual. So maybe we're gonna send Benjamin Franklin and we'll send Benjamin Franklin as a delegate of Pennsylvania to the Continental Congress. We'll send James Madison as a delegate from Virginia to the Continental Congress. Maybe we'll send Thomas Jefferson from Virginia as well. And then Alexander Hamilton from New York, right? Delegates represent a larger entity of people. So, First Continental Congress. What about it? Today.
They met up to make changes to the Army Federation, but they were. Oh.
All right, so, what did you say? I totally blacked out.
I said the minutes, changes to the articles of incorporation. Or the roundup.
Not yet. You're thinking of the first constitutional convention.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. That's okay, because honestly, this is leading us to that. What happened here, girls, was with the First Continental Congress, at first, it looks just like, it's kind of like the same concept of the first Constitutional Convention, because similarly to the first Constitutional Convention, they weren't looking to replace anything, they were looking to fix it. So what they're doing here is in the first Continental Congress, they say, listen, we're gonna craft this Declaration of Resolves to tell King George that, you know, we understand that with the Boston Tea Party, we messed up, but that's because we were angry about the Boston Massacre and all the taxes. Let's make things right and figure this out. The main thing that they wanted to do with this Declaration of Resolves was to repeal what? Thank you, the Intolerable Acts, right? And also this Declaration of Resolves was the olive branch petition, right? The forgiveness petition, like, hey, to find a resolution to the conflict and to repeal the Intolerable Acts. Does King George say, yeah, let's figure it out. We can make this work? What happens? Zoe?
The ideas were like protected, so, didn't they do something? They went to the second conference.
Yes, they were rejected. And because this plan was rejected, they had to figure out what they were going to do next. They went, okay, first plan didn't work out. This means war, right? So what happens here with the Second Continental Congress?
They organized the Continental Army, and George Washington was commanding.
Girls, another important part about the First Continental Congress, you can see this, right? This is talking about the First Continental Congress. We see the first armed conflict between the British and the colonies. You know what happened? It was the shot heard around the world. What happened here? Where was this conflict at? The Battle of...
Oh, is it Concord?
Yeah, Lexington and Concord. Must be the caffeine. I don't know why I can't type today. Right, so then that happens, and so the colonies decide this is war, and with the Second Continental Congress, they start mobilizing for the American Revolution. Oh, I'm sorry. Why do the colonists object to Britain's Parliament placing taxes on the colonies? I said it not long ago. I know.
Representation.
Parliament taxed the colonies, even though the colonies were not represented. That's not that. We're not represented in government. Think about it. In Pennsylvania, we pay taxpayer dollars, right? We pay taxpayer dollars, and we pay them so that if we want, our kids can go to public school. We pay taxes so that the potholes of Fox Chase Road can get filled so we don't mess up our cars driving down the street. We pay taxes so that we can take walks in the park with our friends, right? And so that we can take our children and the kids that we babysit, and even as children ourselves, so that we can go to the playground and play. We are the beneficiaries of state-funded programs. When we pay taxes to the federal government and that, that money goes to our military is so that they can protect us against war, or they can protect us against foreign threats. At this point, the colonies are being taxed to pay off Great Britain's debt. And guess what? The colonies aren't benefiting at all from it. All of the money is going right to Great Britain. That's why they're angry. And not only that, they're not even in the room to make the decisions. Parliament is getting together and saying, we have no money. What are we going to do? I have an idea. Let's tax the colonies. Right? They're being taxed when none of them are represented in government. There's nobody from the colonies over in England representing them in Parliament. They don't have any elected representatives. They're being taxed without representation. No taxation without representation. Got it? What was the goal of the first Continental Congress? I just said it. Zoe? Repeal the intolerable acts, resolve conflict with British throne. What was the goal of the second one? Prepare for war. Okay. Does that make sense? Are we drowning right now? I think we should be okay. We should be okay. We're okay. Any questions about this? You're allowed, if you have a question, please. I would love to take a breath. No questions? Okay. Crazy Gov teacher continues to go through study guide. All right. Yep. There we go. What does it mean? What does it mean, Jasmine? First form of government in the United States, yes. I don't want to, because it technically is the first constitution because it lays out what's going on in the government, but I don't want to confuse it with like the, I don't want to confuse it with like the Constitutional Convention and how we made that constitution. So we're going to say that it's the first form of government in the U.S. What kind of legislature did it have? What kind of legislature did it have? Excellent. A unicameral legislature. Awesome. Anything else? No. So a way to remember this is that unicameral, think of a unicycle. It's just one little wheel. Whereas in a bicameral legislature, think of a bicycle with two wheels. The unicameral legislature means that there's one house. And then the bicameral legislature means that there are two houses. That makes sense. Are we good? Right? And again, remember, unicameral is a unicycle with one wheel, whereas a bicycle has two wheels that are moving, that are working together. What's it mean to ratify? Wait, do you guys have anything else for the Articles of Confederation? Is that all you got? That's fine. And you know what? You're right, Jasmine. It is considered like the first constitution. It's just not the one that we end up with. But Claire?
It's the approving of rule.
What's up? Sure, yeah. To ratify means to approve or pass a law. Good. Northwest Ordinance. Hannah?
The plan for settling Northwest Territory.
It was a plan for settling the Northwest Territory and admitting states to the Union. It was actually very successful, so successful that it lasted for 125 years. And this was probably one of the only successes of the Articles of Confederation. Anything to add to that? Sure. Ban slavery in all new territories. Over there. Excellent. Yep.
So my
Because each of the new territories would have a Bill of Rights, that's why. And Shays Rebellion. Shays Rebellion. Sine?
I just have a question about the other one. So they banned slavery in all the territories, but still allowing it.
Mhm. And what we're gonna see, girls, is that if you think about it, even though we expanded in the South as well, we expanded in the South and the Southwest in our states, when we become a union, what happened is, in the North, we didn't see slavery. Slavery still existed in the North, but when we get to the point in history where we're looking to ban slavery, it's because the North isn't as successful as the South in production, and the economy in the South is better because there's so much free labor. And the reason why there's free labor in the South and not in the North is because at one point, we have a situation where the North is not a good climate for agriculture, and in the South, the climate is good for agriculture. And that's why we see slavery being so prevalent in the South. Okay? Yeah. Yes.
This is like a really good numbers. I feel like I should really know this, but like before they added the new territories, were there already 13 colonies?
Yes.
Okay.
No, you're
And
right.
then
Yeah.
added on to it. You're right.
Because now we're expanding into like the Michigan, Illinois, Indiana area. But typically, at this point, pretty much the whole East Coast is colonized, right? That's not a dumb question. That's perfect. Shays Rebellion. What about it? Shays Rebellion. You're on the roll. Keep going.
A rebellion of Massachusetts farmers facing the prospect of losing lands.
One more time. Oh. Okay. So what happens was there was an uprising of Massachusetts farmers at the prospect of losing their lands to the government. It was led by Daniel Shays. It grew to be about like 2,500 farmers that were rioting and storming the courthouses and the banks, saying, "Do not take our lands." Da 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 da. Basically, it showed the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation and that they had to be revised.
Thank you.
You're welcome, guys. Have a good lunch. Good luck tomorrow. Do I smell or something?
No, it's the lunch. It's the lunch. They tell me it's the lunch.
Thank you. Do you guys have any questions? Girls, I'm going to, I've never seen that before either. I'm going to put together, I'm gonna see if I get any further in my other classes with the review, but at some point I am also gonna post a review of me talking about the rest of the study guide, okay? So make sure you look for that tonight, study for your assessment tomorrow, and you'll be great. Let me close out my